We're here. We are all the way live. It is Friday night going into Saturday morning. We're here. This is the Chocolate Mountain Show. I am your host. 8Wind is timeless. It all starts with a gentle sadness. I am the holder of the continuous ball game of the Hero Twins. I am your galactic daddy-o sitting on my galactic patio from Minnesota going out to the universe. And tonight we want to give a special commercial break to Sierra Nevada Wonderland. It is a hazy IPA, 6 point, it's on here somewhere, the alcohol content, 7.5. That's probably why when I took a couple drinks earlier, I took a nap. No, actually, I got just done watching Siova's video. Y'all got to get to him if y'all any kind of tech. Siova, you got to get to him at COVA. Y'all got to join. Oh, and thank you for Macy's for this sweet velour. Hard to beat velour. You know, when I was a child, you had three types of seats you could have. So pop them if you got them, smoke them if you want them. But you could have three types of seats. You could have cloth seats, leather seats, and velour. And velour was like sitting on a pillow. The seats were so comfortable. Even if you see old cars, you don't see the velour seats all blowed out. They're still kind of comfortable. Let that percolate. Oh, and you always know I blow big stacks too. Let's get this started. Who's with me? Sebastian, what's happening? Read my soul. Thank you. That's so kind. Rodney, thank you. We in here. Let's get it in. Lorenzo, just finished watching Devil in the Brew Dust. Don Cheeto had on the derby. Got to put it on my wish list. This is more of a called a baller hat. I got a derby too, but this is considered more of a baller. The derbies would be turned up. This is more of a stingy brim, but they call these bowler hats. Yeah, I got a derby too, though. All right, what's good, PJ? Ha ha! Thank you, Charlie Murphy. Ha ha! Oh yeah, this is definitely pimping clothes. This is Friday night. You know, be live. Just got done watching the games too. You know, I do several things. I did watch Mortal Kombat. Like I told my best friend, I wouldn't be watching it again. It wasn't bad, but the beginning scene was the bomb. I mean, the beginning scene, that fight scene was the bomb. But hey, the one, Aggie Pride, them old Caprice and Bromes with the velour seats. Yeah, we had a 78 Caprice and had the velour red. It was like, you know, Caprices was, a lot of them was that gray. And, you know, they made Caprices until, shoot, I think the early 90s. But, well, they made the one big body Caprices, but I mean the old boxy kind of body. But we had a 78. As I said before, my dad worked for General Motors, and he got a new car. Part of his perks, part of his deal was he got a new car every year. And I mean, literally every year. He worked there 30 years, and he got 30 different cars. Probably the cars he bought, probably close to 60 cars he went through in the 30-plus years he worked for General Motors. So, hey, Sean, thank you for joining me. But, yeah, we had that old Caprice, and that's what I remember. I would wash it, and he let me take it out and shit. I remember he grounded me for driving because I left my power hitter in the glove box. And, you know, the power hitters had weed in them. In the, you know, weed would get in the ends, and so it's going around. Didn't think that one out. So he's looking for something in there, and there's, you know, stems and shit. Yeah, wasn't too smart. It wasn't too smart. But yeah, watch the game. Like I do a bunch of stuff at one time. Yeah, I want to start with this tonight. As I talked about, I picked this book up the other day, and there's a page in here I did want to show people to kind of understand. Yeah. So, like, if you study in any of the Goetias, they tell you that certain ancestors had so many, they had such an army and things, and so this picture will kind of represents this in some ways, and so you might go into something like this, and you see how it has the multiple, this ancestor has the multiple groups around it. And what the heading is this is considered Mateya, Byampa. Yeah, Mateya is the Buddhist saint of loving kindness and the future Buddha, who resides in a heaven called Tusita. It is thought he will appear with a human form at the end of this age and the coming of the next. Maitreya, it actually is Maitreya, is a yellow color and seated on the throne, performs the gestures of teaching while holding stems from two Yatopola flowers, one supporting a real clarily, the other supporting a vase. He appears to attend to Varsata on the second day of the visions of the peaceful deities. But again, this is kind of what you'll see. If you have to go to one of these realms, you could run into them before you would get to the source of the realm. And so when we talk about the directions and the gatekeepers of the directions, then I did want to read this. It's called Death's Messenger. All they who thought are, nor heed what time death's message appear, must long the pangs of suffering feel in some base body habiting. But all those good and honest men, what time they see death's messenger, believe not thoughtless, but give heed to what the noble doctrine says. And in attachment, frightened, see of birth and death of the further source, and from the attachment free themselves, thus birth and death extinguishing, secure and happy ones as they are, released from all this fleeting show, emptied from the sin and fear of the all misery have the outcome. And so just thought about sharing that a little bit because again, in the shamanistic kind of teachings, you go you go into your entry point. And again, I've talked many times, my entry point is my on our family property that we've owned since 1850. There's a spring, and that seems to be my entry point where I can enter. And so when you go to these entry points, and again, the shaman teach you, you can work with an animal, your spirit guide, and then your spirit guide would take you into the given direction. And in the given direction, you could come up against different types of entities that you would have to talk to and tell them, your quest and things like that. So thought I'd bring that up. Hey, they don't make them like that no more. Them old caprices and impalas. Nah, yeah, I mean, back in, trying to think of the year, back in 8, 9, Caprices was the hottest thing. Like you went in Chicago and that's all you would see is them old Caprices. The bigger bodies that became taxi cabs, but you saw the square bodies too. A lot of them you can get the V8s as well. So yeah, those cars for a while made a good comeback where people clean them up and still, and it's not hard even today to get velour seats. If you go to a custom person and you can get velour seats. So yeah, that's not hard at all. A little better. But watching the games today, a unique breed. It's funny. Curry wore a couple different pair of shoes today, and they went out, and you could tell where the basket. His system was helped, and I just looked at a shot Joker took. Joker took a shot, and you could tell it was help of the system that was there also to help Curry. So I thought that was interesting. This world is still crazy. They want to keep. I don't know. They just want to keep. Every time we turn around, it's something else with a melanated person being attacked, and so they want to keep this agenda up, and they want to keep it up against the police. And see, this is the thing with the police not being in the neighborhoods and living in the neighborhoods. A lot of times you don't really know these people unless you've been working for a while. You don't know these people, and these people don't know you. And that's the problem right there. Because if the people, and it could be on purpose that they don't require people to live in the neighborhoods because they don't want the police and regular people to be to get a close relationship, because then they would, the closer relationship the people would have, and then the people would see that it ain't them that's the enemy. The enemies is back behind, and that's the problem. Is they don't want us to see the real enemy of the people. What do they call it? The money changers. They want the people to think that this group is who's everybody's against. Because like now you're seeing that a lot of people on Facebook are like pro police and all that, and I don't think people are not pro police. I just think they're pushing a narrative, and that's what I think people are tired of, is the narratives being pushed. The narrative of fear is also being pushed. So I think that's what people are tired of. But everything else up here, it is freezing up here. And I always open my window because under these lights, it gets quite hot. And and it got cold last night. My poor plants are sitting here. And this one, you can still kind of see it's a little shriveled for being cold from last night. I forgot to shut it. Do you like police generally? I still have relatives. Hey, Barbara, thank you for joining me. I still have relatives that are in the police force. So, I didn't like, I did when I was a cop, I saw a lot of crookedness. I'll say that. I saw a lot of underhandness, but generally just knowing the people, it's just the same people, as I told one dude, I knew him before he was, and then after we got out of the academy, he was super guy, and before he was just a meek little dude. So that kind of juice, it took that to feed his ego, because up to then his ego wasn't like he was later. But I met some cats that's okay. So it can't be just generally, but it's just it seems to be a narrative that's put out there now. So, and what's the old song? Fuck the police. but like down here and basically in Minneapolis, somebody ODing, they the first responders. They don't hit you with the Narcon. They're gonna hit you with the paddles if you done fell out. And I've had to do CPR to a person. I've had a person fall out in front of me and have to do CPR. And I mean, this wasn't working or nothing. It was just like we had luckily taken the classes, and I was visiting someone, and this lady just fell out. I didn't know her very well, but she just fell out, and I had to start doing CPR on her. So you just never know. Help is where it is. So no, I don't really hate them. No, it's not that. It's not that. But like, I mean, I see things they do as bullshit. Like, it was some shit going on, and police came up to just ask me what was going on. Then they freaking ran me, and I'm like, wait a minute, you come ask for my advice, and then you're going to run me to see if you can take me in. I thought that was petty as hell. I thought that was petty. So not really. Hey, Antoine, thank you for joining me. So you see some petty things like that, where they just want to be assholes sometimes when they don't have to be assholes, I guess is the point. That is my point. So no, I don't, and you can't just generalize everybody like that. There are people that are fucked up, and there are people that are, it's just a paycheck. That's why I did it. It was like I had no great thing to protect and serve, which really you only protected and serve in property for the most part. That's what the charter says, is you're there to protect property. But it was just a paycheck to me. I never felt that made me. I carried guns before, so it never bothered me, so didn't stroke my ego. It was a check. That's all I looked at it as. It was a check. Yep. But yes, peace to you, Antoine. Very kind words. Thank you for the energy, and everybody that saw my energy. They perceived it being a little down. Well, thank you. Thank you for the support. I really needed it, and I appreciate that. I really do. I mean, I'm a kind of what am I seeing here? Oh, I'm a pretty humble cat. I live a very meager life. I don't need a whole lot other than tennis shoes. I walked 2 miles yesterday, and it's like the phone says, well, you walked 2 miles yesterday, you only walked 1 1/3 mile today. Get your ass back out there and do some walking. And I'm like, it's raining, so I can't walk. Oh, the biggest thing to talk about is Bitcoin. Bitcoin dropped, and let's see what it closed at. Bitcoin dropped down to 50 grand about $6,000. And a lot of people were locked out of their account. Let me see what it finished at. That was one of the things I wanted to talk about. And it wasn't being bought up. Yeah, yeah. So Bitcoin is down. Bitcoin is down 19%. Actually, it fell $11,000. Fell $11,000. So it's down 18.94%. Even Ethereum fell down $3 in 12 hours. But yeah, in 7 days, Bitcoin dropped 11 grand. So it was up to 61. But a lot of people was locked out of their accounts too. So if that was you, I'd still be checking on that to see if you are locked out of your accounts and see if you're mining. But if you stroll down, everything's down. Now the stocks rebounded today. Let's see. When I turn away, let's see about gold and silver. Because gold wasn't down too much today. Yeah, gold was down $7. It closed at 1,779, which was down $7. Yeah, and silver dropped 14 cents. So silver still, I mean, it wasn't that long ago. Silver was only $5 a share. Now Ford dropped again. Let's see. Closing number on Ford stocks. Yeah, now Ford was, because Ford had dropped down to 11, and so Ford was up 28 cents to 12.22. And so but again, when I bought in last year at $5, I've watched it go up. It went to a high of 16. So you got to watch your stuff. You got 401ks. Hey, can't wait till you get a hold of that Paul George layup. Oh, okay. Or which game? Which game tonight? Because I watched. I saw they won. But okay, I have to check that out. Hey, Rocky, thank you for coming. But yeah, I have to check the Paul George layup out. That's why I showed that Embiid shot, because that Embiid shot was just beyond ridiculous. It was just a mocking of people, and that's what they do. They mock people on certain aspects. Yeah, that's good enough. And so that's one thing to consider about the game. But like if you watch some of the early game with Curry tonight, you can see when the system helps him and they turn the system off. I mean, you can look when they don't have the system on for players. And that's what I want to do is I want to show, and those that do this kind of work, I want to put together where to show the missed shots and how bad these guys missed the shots and how bad when the shot is helped and corrected, it's always aimed to the back. But when they don't touch these shots are just crazy. I mean, they just miss crazy. So I'm going to do that in the overstand. Mocha, what's happening? I'm sorry if I didn't see you there. Looking smooth. Well, thank you. That's mighty nice for you to overstand. Okay, I'm sorry. I missed you. Came in. I'm sorry. In a physical gold, I refuse to trust crypto. It's like, if you remember, crypto started at 50 cents and it went up to 50 grand. And then the people that stayed in there when it went up to 19. And so really, if you bought in at 50 cents, what was it, 5, 6, whenever it started, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, you're really not hurting. Even with that drop, you're still not hurting if you bought it at 50 cents at one time. Even if you bought in when it went to 19 grand, I mean, you're still not hurting. But 11 grand in 7 days, if it keeps doing that, because remember before COVID, it had went down to 6 grand. They was talking about might be the end of it. So it rose to where it's currently at from 6 grand. So that would have been the time. But the thing that was interesting, none of the bull trading went in on it. A lot of times when you see it drop like that, you see people start buying it up. That didn't happen today. So who would you say better shot stopper, Ozzie Smith or Derek Jeter? Better shortstop? Wow, that's a good one. I don't know. I might have to go with my homeboy with that one, because Ozzie was good going to his left and covering like that area between second base. I didn't think he was as strong covering to the right, where Jeter was just as strong going either way. And I would think that Derek had a stronger arm And then Derek could play some of the outfield. So that's kind of I would say Jeter a little bit. I would say Derek by a little bit. But you talking about baseball range, Brooke Robertson from the '70s season. You watch some of them highlights of him, you ain't gonna see a better third baseman than Brooke Robertson in that World Series from '70. Uh, hey, Sir William Ray, I can't wait. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna definitely look at that. But yeah, that's what I would say. Derek Jeter by a little. I would say Jeter by a little bit. I just thought he had a better range going to his right. Um, Backing up the third baseman, but going outfield too. Because I would say Ozzie was quicker than him. Because again, Derek is what 6'3", 6'4", where Ozzie was probably 5'7", 5'8". So Ozzie was probably a little quicker. But range wise, I thought they was both comparative. What I would give the stronger arm to Derek though. I thought Derek had the stronger arm. But enjoyed them both. And okay, Rodney says Ozzy. You got a good there. It was a good place to. What's a good place to buy gold and silver? Depending what state you're in, but pawn shops. Pawn shops gonna give you it by weight, especially when you're buying it. Selling it they're gonna get you a little bit, but buying it, pawn shops like the pawn shops here go by penny weight. So they don't actually go by the gold price; they go by the penny weight price. So in some instances, you can get better deals. See in your state, some in your state like that Monex, you can like they won't sell here. I couldn't get it. I would have to get it sent to a shop. I couldn't actually get it sent to my person. Like some states, you can get them to send gold right to you, and so that's why getting the ounce, the ounce of gold at $1,700 really ain't that bad. You get a big fat coin is not a bad investment. But pawn shops is pretty good. I mean, most people have access to them. Again, generally they go with the price. So that's how I would look at it, going with the daily price per ounce. Because again, you're looking at per ounce. So if you get a necklace and that necklace, depending how big the necklace is, you're looking at how many grams, was it 28 grams an ounce? So uh my Bitcoin is locked. Yeah, Barbara, that's what they were saying. So still locked right now. But yeah, I heard that this morning that a lot of people's accounts was locked out. So she said her account is locked out. Yeah. And that started at I want to say I didn't get up. I was woken at noon or so. And so 1 or 2 when I heard, so wow, I would thought they've been unlocked by now. So that's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, that's what they were saying. It's dropped and uh, the Bulls didn't come in to buy it up like they thought, so it plummeted. Shortstop, my favorite is out of the two is Derek Jeter, but Ozzie was something special. He lived by the name the Wizard. Great athlete, better base stealer. I would say hitting. I don't know. You'd have to look at the averages. Ozzie didn't play what maybe in the one World Series where Derek played in a few different ones. So, but both of them, yeah. Ozzie had I would say definitely better range going to his left. Covering that hole after second base. He had really good range going to his left. I didn't feel he had as strong as range going to his right. I thought Derek kind of had that range going both ways. But base stealing, hands down, Ozzie. Ozzie would have been a better base stealer, but again, Ozzie was only 5'8" compared to Derek being 6'3", 6'4". So Derek's a big guy. But I grew up, my favorite baseball player growing up was Johnny Bench. I mean, I played catcher. That's why I have, I must have broken my thumbs playing catcher as a little boy and just never complained because catching thousands of balls, too. But when they did MRIs on my thumbs, they were like, you broke both of your thumbs multiple times. What catalyst is making crypto go down? That's a good question. That's a good question. I think, well, if you looked at the week, most of the stocks had went down through Wednesday. We saw a little gain yesterday, and then we saw kind of a push today. And so I just think they got caught up in the what happened to the other stocks. I think that made a lot of people panic. And so I think there was probably a big sellout because of what happened up to the week. But being locked out, that's tough. That's real tough being locked out. I mean, that you can't even, unload some of it. if the burden is losing 11 grand, if you had a full investment, a lot of people just have parts of it. But if you had a full investment, losing 11 grand in 7 days is tough. And so that's what Robin Hood did. Remember, Robin Hood stopped people from, what was it, buying? You couldn't sell. You could still buy. So the Robin Hood did the same thing. Remember when Robin Hood had the thing with GameStop, they locked their accounts out. So something very similar. Charlie Hustle, Pete Rose. Pete Rose was bad. Hey, Kaden, thank you for joining me. Pete Rose was really one of the best baseball players of all time. Could play basically every position. Could hit for power, but just get hits. I mean, he is the all-time hit leader, and he broke Ty Cobb's record. They called him Charlie Hustle for a reason. He was a great baseball player and one of the best handicappers. He was just such a good. He had such a good baseball mind. They talked him into playing baseball because they knew his habits before. I mean, it wasn't like they didn't know his habits, but he was such a great handicapper. And again, some inside knowledge too. He knows the games was fixed, and so they spanked him. But yeah, Pete Rose was a good athlete. Did you watch the Nets game? The Celtics was missing free throws like crazy. Yeah, Caden, I watched that game too, and yeah, they was missing free throws, but this wasn't their night. And it's funny, Jabari Parker, I think I talked about that last night. They picked Jabari up. And, the one thing that hurt him is his injuries is he can't stay with anybody. But, here was a guy that he was my son's age. He's only 25 or 26. And this guy was supposed to be the best player in the nation for that age. And, his career has been really nothing, injuries. So yeah, I caught that too, Caden. Yeah, I have to look at that Paul George layup up too. They won't let Rose in the Hall of Fame, will they? Antoine, no, they ain't gonna let him. But this is the thing: his bat of breaking the hit record is in the Hall of Fame, and his ball for breaking the hit record is in the Hall of Fame. So no, he doesn't have a plaque, but he does have that in the Hall of Fame. So it's just stupid. It's just stupid. I mean, the way they even boycotted Shoeless Joe. When Ty Cobb told that Ty Cobb said from 1910 to 1919, all of them were fixed. So, you can catch that quote from Ty Cobb. So, yeah, he's ineligible. He's ineligible because of the betting. That joker lied to me and told me he didn't gamble. Pete Rose, ineligible. I mean, he was one of the greatest handicappers, though. A lot of these cats bet, gamble when he was playing. So, why all the tripping out on him now? I mean, or not now. This is almost 30 years ago. But you put his ball and bat in there for the record, but you're not going to put his achievements. He's the all-time hit champion that could play every base, and he won a couple titles. I know he won with the Phillies. When the Phillies won, he was playing first base by then. Remember, look up where Pete Rose ran over Ray Fosse, I think his name is. Basically ruined his career in the All-Star game. It was like Pete went home and Ray tried to block the plate, and Pete ran him over. And I told this story before. I had hit a ball, and I thought it was a homer. And so I'm rounding third. The throw comes, so the throw beat me. I knocked a couple people in softball. And this guy, instead of just tagging me, he tries to block me. And, I'm running full speed. I'm 6 foot 245. This guy's about 5'8", 170. And when he tried to block me, instead of just touching me, he physically ran into me. And I knocked him to the backstop. And I broke his shoulder. Broke his shoulder. Dislocated, broke his shoulder. Dislocated his jaw, so he had a broken jaw. They had to take him. They had to put him on the ambulance and take him out of there. And come to find out, the guy, he's one of the managers where I worked, and he was off work for about 6 months. Even when he came back, his face looked kind of funny. But it's like, no, you didn't do anything wrong. And people didn't like the dude, so people was coming up. It's like, I'm glad. They was like, this dude ain't coming back for 6 months. Aiden Pearl Queen, thank you for joining me. So that was a funny story. The ball on Paul George layup did like an extra half court shot that happened in Miami. Okay. Wow. I'm not surprised though. I mean, they keep this system going up all the time. I watched a Wiggins shot. Wiggins, like he likes to do a nice little floater, and he did a floater from the left side, and they let it go in. And usually they like if he shoots layups, they push his layups. He's one of the ones that I noticed. Get out of there. That I noticed. And chemicals get on your ass, get on that fur. You're gonna be hopping around here. But he was one of the ones that I don't know. I just noticed. So, but this is the program they do, and so none of it surprises me anymore. None of it surprises me. Every time it's like, did y'all see the camera tonight? Curry went to the bathroom. You know, they followed him into the bathroom. It's like they don't take the camera off him. They don't do that to very many players, where they just keep the camera on them constantly. And this is another thing that always gets me. So if you play professional ball and you did go to college, so you've been on TV since you was in college. You don't see college players do it, but when you're on the big board, that's live television. Like if you see a player on the big board, that is, and I mean the main scoreboard in the center, that is live television. But it's like players look up. I don't understand that. Like they look up when they think they're on the board, like especially when they're on the sidelines. And I'm like, it almost like looking at that. It almost seems like what you see on the court is an illusion, because why would they be so obsessed with seeing themselves on the big board? Why would they care? Now, of course, if you're picking your nose or something, but that amazes me. Like they're sitting on the sideline. And then if they, it's always the television, the live is a little ahead. And so when they see themselves on the big board, they're looking up. And I'm like, why? You've been on televisions a whole bunch of times. Why is it important for you to look at the board to see yourself on the big board? That I don't understand. And that makes me think like they ain't even on television. Why would they care that they get this solo moment on the board when you're in the game and you're shown being on television? So notice that. I forgot another great shortstop, Kyle Ripken. Grew up in Montana or Maryland, but never saw Kyle Ripken play. Oh, you grew up in Maryland. Man, Ripken, they was talking about him when, like, he's my age, and they was talking about him when he was in high school. That he was go because his daddy played baseball, and it was Billy Ripken too. His brother played pro baseball. I think Billy Ripken was his brother. So his daddy played pro baseball, and his daddy coached. So he was taking batting practice against pros since he was a little guy. So you look at the odds of a person. If your parent played pro, there's a good odds with you that you'll play pro. I mean, you're gonna go through all that sacrifice shit too, but yeah, Ripken was great. And I'll say, for a guy, not quick, but range both ways, strong arm, consistent hitter, but range both ways and a strong arm. Ooh, he might even had a stronger arm than Jeter. But yeah, great player. Played all those games. We just had a hockey player that broke a record since 1961. He's played the most games. He's played 1,000 and something games. He broke Gordie Howe's record, and Gordie Howe's record went to like the late 40s. And the record that was set by Gordie Howe was set in 61. So this hockey player just broke a 60-year-old record of being playing the most games. And do you know how physical hockey is? Hockey players only play 2-3 minutes at a time. But think about it like this. In those 2 or 3 minutes, you're doing 100-yard sprints. So imagine you're on a football field and you're just sprinting fast as you can, a whole 100 yards. Then you turn around and do it again and try doing that for 3 minutes. That is what hockey players do. They sprint back and forth. And again, the effort to ice skate it's a lot of effort in ice skating. I ice skated growing up, and it's like if a hockey player's out there 4 minutes, that's a long time for them. And you hear the announcers like they're really dragging and stuff. But what with all those number pads on the back of the rim post. They look like debit credit card number pads. I peeped them out. Yeah, it's so many electronics. And I've been going through Facebook to try to find my oldest picture of a rim. Um, I want to say it was 14, maybe 7, no, 15 or 16. I took some, no, it might even been before then, but I had taken some pictures of Target rims. And then I went a couple years later and was on the court and was able to take some more pictures, and just the difference in the electronics in a few years that was to the rims. But yeah. Hey, Omar Vasquez. Omar Vasquez. Now, I don't remember. I couldn't even tell you much about him. I really didn't know Basmar. So you stomped me on that one. I don't remember him that much. That did that to Lamar Jackson when he played against Cleveland. They said he was hurt when he was to go to the bathroom. Well, you remember the famous one was Paul. What's Paul's name? Paul Pierce. Remember the famous one? Paul Pierce was about to have the runs, so they picked him up and put him in a wheelchair, and they wheeled him off because he had to go to the bathroom. So yeah, but yeah, Omar Vasquez, you stomped me on that one. Play shortstop for the Indians. Yeah, I remember him seeing play, but far as my opinion, he got past me. Yep, he got past me, Sir William. Far as me watching him play, I really couldn't tell you much about him. That's one player that I couldn't say. Yep. Patrick Malou of the San Jose Shark, he just broke Gordie Howe's record. Thank you, Lorenzo. Yeah, I watched the game, or they showed the highlight. No, let me see, because they've been playing, they've been playing the same teams. I want to say I watched that game. I want to say I watched that game too. Yeah, I watched that game. They played, I think when he broke the record, they played the Wild. If not, they didn't play the Wild. I watched it on NBC. So, but yeah, I watched that game. But yeah, Patrick Malone, that's some, hats off to him because that's a hard sport to try to stay healthy and to be able to show up every game. I mean, hockey is, when you fall like, again, you going full out running and you just fall. I mean, ice doesn't hardly give. Ice doesn't hardly give. But I watched that cat play the other night, and so I thought that was quite a record. This guy started playing in the 90s. He started playing in the late 90s and was still playing, up to now. So hats off to him. So quite an achievement for the brother. But not a lot going on here. My daughter's she's doing one of her first recitals this weekend. So excited for her. She does baton and dance, and she's part of the national team here. If things stay the way they are, we're going to Indiana for the Nationals in July, perhaps, if things don't change. So I'm just scared to go to Michigan. They got those people again, all, they're saying the surging, like, they're saying now the surging is going on in India, just keeping people scared. It just doesn't make sense the way this fear they've pushed on people. And making people think that there's some magic. And now they say you might need to plunge every year. You just need a touch-up plunge. So, like you take the plunge now, and then every year you go in and get another plunge. Doesn't that sound like a money grab? That's a money grab. And that's why I was saying all this thing has been a money grab. That is what we're seeing. We've seen one of the biggest transfers of money in the history of man, the biggest transfer of money. And so it's sad that they've, the 8 weeks people complied and everybody's masked up in 8 weeks. But again, you go back to movies in 19, Westworld is one of the main ones I remember. In 19, they shown Westworld because that's one thing that since being a child, I'd always noticed. I would look at the way people were dressed. And I think soap operas with my mother made me catch that because a lot of times soap operas have the same colors and all. But, this thing saying now you got to go back every year, so it's not going to end. It's going to be a constant fear program. So, but and I'm not trying to persuade people one way or the other. That is your personal thing. That is your personal thing. They had people surviving and not living, and Big Pharma got big check for all of this. Print it quickly. Yeah, read my soul. Print it very quickly. That's thick ice too. That's like playing Orchard Park in Buffalo, River Stadium, Pittsburgh, East Rutherford, New Jersey, in the wintertime. Yeah, Lorenzo, that ice it's not a joke. The thing that like this is what happened when you don't have full hockey equipment and you're playing hockey with neighborhood children. One thing they do is they would put newspapers or magazines and wrap them around your legs because shin guards is a very necessary thing. Just like in soccer, you need shin guards. You need shin guards in hockey. And I remember the first time someone whacked me on my shin with a hockey stick. I told him, "You do it again, I'm going to beat you up out here." And I never had that problem. But then after that, I would, you just get a big pair of socks and you would put magazines, around if you didn't have the pads. But that's what I would. But I was like, "Yeah, you hit me in my shin again," because I was like kind of getting off on him and playing well. And then the physical part was never a problem. I could skate. It's like I never could roller skate backwards, but I could ice skate backwards. So I never could figure that one out because it was easier to ice skate than roller skate. A lot easier for me. Besmar, do you think astrology and zodiac signs can be the spell on humans? Hmm, not necessarily, because when they slow time down by um, moving Taurus to cover the energy from the central sun, that was like used against us. I don't know if that was quite a spell. They used the constellation to block uh, the central sun energy from coming to us, why they slowed or sped time up because they didn't want us getting all this energy coming from the central sun. And again, they didn't know what to expect from 2012. Again, it was the Mayan kind of prophecy, and they fully hadn't understood what it meant. Um, People down in Mexico could have told you it was just the end of a cycle. Every end of a batoon. That's basically what it was. I mean, we're up to 13 batoons right now. Back then, it was 12 batoons. 12, 12, 12 batoons. So, I don't know. I don't know if that's an interesting thing. I don't know because you can use your zodiac signs to see the divinations. You can use the zodiac signs to kind of look at, are you compatible with people, and you can generalize and say, well, these, I knew these kind of people under this sign. Now the constellations are a little different, but the constellations have been charted for so long. Um, it was a way to like. Hmm, like when you go into the Dresden, when you go into this, what they found out is this was some of these pages tell you the movement of Venus that was accurate and still applied for the movements today. And so this was a way where these people, I don't know if I can find that part, but it was accurate, out of this one of this codex that was called the Dresden Codex. But it told the movements, a lot of times they would look at the movements of how to plant, when to plant, and the seasons. So I don't know if that could be really looked at as a spell, going with the seasons. So I don't know. I really don't think so though. I don't think so. That's a good one though. One of those podcasts I had Lamar on it. He had something about a field goal that he knew was going in that veered over to the right of the goalpost. He said something took control of it. Interesting, PJ, but not surprising. Not surprising. Those stadium names were on AstroTurf in the wintertime. Oh, and AstroTurf, you played with tennis shoes when he got frozen. You could play on tennis shoes because Western Michigan put the old turf in, and we used to play on it all the time on Sundays. We played on it on Sundays, and so when it got icy like that, it was great. We wouldn't wear the cleats; we would just wear tennis shoes, and you could grip. Now, falling was another thing. You didn't like falling on that cheap AstroTurf. When it got frozen like that, it was literally like falling on cement. So, yeah, I remember those. Yeah, the old AstroTurf. Yeah, I know. That stadium, I talked about that the other night. It was the worst AstroTurf ever on any field. They wasn't even they had a it was like a plywood kind of under the field, and so it was some terrible stuff. They canceled a couple games. Teams wouldn't go out on it. I don't know. But yeah, that's what we used to do. And it's a championship game that was in the 40s or 30s where they had a field of grass because a lot of times in snow, even though it was slip, but like when I was played little boy football, you couldn't wear cleats in football, so you had to wear tennis shoes. On grass and stuff and mud, it wasn't too bad. Snow, it wasn't bad either. And even on like a icy field, the tennis shoes did well. Now, if it was just snowy and not icy, sometimes it could be slippery with tennis shoes. But now, when you soon as you play football, you wear cleats. But when I played fifth and sixth grade, fifth, sixth, and seventh grade, we had to wear tennis shoes. We couldn't wear cleats, which was kind of silly. But that's what I learned. That's why I learned, when we played in the Meadowlands, I was telling the dudes, I'm like, do not leave anything exposed. Wear sweatbands because I always wore elbow pads because I had to block too. But I was like, wear high socks. Make sure your knees are covered. Wear the high socks. And I remember my guy, Frank Carr, superstar, he didn't, and he had a strawberry on his leg like this. Oh, it was nasty. Where he had burned his leg because he wore the short socks. He's like, yeah, I should have listened to you. It's like, yeah, you should have, buddy. I played on that stuff, so I kind of knew what to expect. It wasn't my first time. I think the NFL messed with him for saying that. It could have been PJ too, because it always, you can look at a lot of kicks throughout the history, and you can see where they've had that technology has probably been around probably as long as basket manipulation, because you can see where they can hone it in and they can make it miss. Because kickers know when you hit the ball good, and you can see the look on their face that they're so surprised because they know they hit it right. But in watching football, like the goal line, the field goal post used to be on the end line, and at one time it was the straight up and down ones, and I don't ever remember seeing balls hit the bars. And it wasn't until they put the system in, and the system can bring it in to hit the crossbar. So, but before I caught that kind of manipulation, you didn't see that kind of thing. Where they hit the doinks, as the announcers like to call it. They hit the doinks, doink. But yeah, probably so. They catch them like that talking. But Lamar with it, Lamar had a chance where he didn't get the first down and he just turned his back and tried to run into the hole. So he knows about the fixing. Did I miss it? Read my soul. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed yours. What do you think zodiac signs mean? I am a true Pisces, and I hate thinking that my being was preset because of the month I was born in, but I am a Pisces through and through. So is it the energy? Well, the thing is also, now, again, when you go into the Mayan count, the Mayan has 13 months. And so now they're showing the 13 calendar. So in the 13 calendar, you're the month before. So if you looked at the month, because I would go from being a Cancer to being a Gemini, and I can kind of see some of those influences as well. I guess your question kind of goes into, are things predetermined? And things being predetermined can be more than just being predetermined because of the month you were born in. Again, I talk about football and, having a football bought for me at a very young age and a helmet. So you could say that my life in sports was kind of predetermined in some ways, but are things predetermined by the month you were born in? I think it just gives you a general guideline of a divination, basically. Some kind of things that you could generalize that people might go through. It's just like you read it for the day. So I don't know. It was a way of divination, of explaining behavior. That's the biggest thing. Is it tried to explain behavior, and even today, people explain behavior. Somebody do something like he's such and such. That's how all such and such. You still hear people on the media always say that. So I don't know if that kind of predetermination really matters that much in it. Um, Now, if you do your total birth chart, that would probably explain a little bit more of who you are than just the month. A total birth chart goes from even the minute you're born and then where all the constellations are. So that would probably have a greater impact on you than just month to month. You get your birth chart read, and I think that would have a greater because it tells you where everything was when you was born, and so that would be a greater way to see like even how you feel energies as these energies change as the constellations move around. um, you could see that certain constellations, and not necessarily your birth constellation, your sign, but just the way everything is set, and you could see going from your birth chart kind of how certain energies. A lot of the thing is what is it? Mars is in retrograde. That's kind of the catch thing. So certain behaviors, but it could get much deeper than that, really. Uh, so, hey Jay, thank you for joining me. So I don't know. The hardest basketball floor had the Boston Garden. They only one played on a parquet floor where other teams played on wooden floors. Yeah, that is interesting. They did. I remember they gave Magic a piece of that floor when he retired. Maybe even Dr. J too. But thank you for joining, Jay. Hey, um, Sovereign Queen. I did a birth chart on Astrolabe. Oh yeah, I did a birth chart on Astrolabe. Oh, okay, okay. You can. There's several places. Trying to think. I had a picture of mine. Maybe, maybe not. I usually carry a picture of mine. Let's see. I had it done years ago, so I don't know if I still have a picture of it. Would it be in screenshots? Wow, this thing would be. Oh, let me see. But yeah, I had and so I refer to it every now and then to see why and possibly the energies are the way they are around. Hmm. Yeah, it probably. Yeah, it's not in this one. Let's see how far back this one goes to see if, maybe it didn't go back far enough because I had it done. But usually I keep transferring it when I get new phones. But that can explain a little more, I think, of who you are. That's the part about just divination, and it's just divination. That's the biggest part. That it's divination. It's like um, what I read. Those still a part of divination. I am a Leo sun, moon, and a Taurus rising. Uh, okay. I am a Leo sun, moon, and a Taurus rising. I don't have mine memorized like that. I'll have to find. I think I have it in one of my files. But I do know one thing. The night I was born, the moon turned a fire red. I said, the night I was born, the moon turned a fire red. My mother got a panic in her eyes. I looked at her and it scared me so much that I think she might have fell over and played like she was dead. As little Jimi Hendrix voodoo child. He says, the night I was born, the moon turned a fire red. I'd have to look that up though to see where everything's to play. I don't have it memorized, but I know I've had it done. I've had it done by a few different people, and so you get you get in enough groups, you can find somebody that'll do that too instead of having to pay somebody. And it ain't it ain't that expensive to pay somebody if they do that. So, but it's just people trying to say why certain events happened. That's why I just give out the divination, because it's just possibilities. It's just possibilities. That's what it is. It's possibilities. I think the greatest thing I do is tell people what energy directions it's coming from, if nothing else, because that can give you a little push. That can actually give you a little push if you're trying to manifest and you're manifesting with the direction. You got just that much more. Whereas if you opposite a direction, you got that energy working against you. I've said that about Islam before. Islam, some days they're blocked because, one day they are right, but 3 other days the energy is not with them. So that's their practice though. And their thing is everyone does it at the same time. And so the energy is all one group of energy pulling from that. And you have to wonder, how easy is it to manifest from that when everyone is practicing that at the same time? And so everyone could be trying to manifest something at the same time. How would you see, how successful could you be when you got multi people at the same time trying to manifest? I don't know how successful you could be. Birth chart is interesting. Free basic chart on Astrolabe. Astrolabe. Oh, okay. Yeah. I think mine was free too, but I had a couple people read mine. I thought I kept it, but it might have been on the phone before this one. But I have one somewhere. Right now it's my season Taurus, also known as the Bulls, run on the 16th, same day as Janet Jackson. Interesting. Like, I was listening to dudes on Craig Facts that didn't know the running of the Bulls meant the defeating of the Moors. That people didn't really know that. That's why I looked at when Spike Lee did the commercial and Josh Norman. You didn't really know the real history. And as I said before, they just beat them out of two cities, Toledo or Tupeldo, however you say that. It was just two cities they beat them out of. That thing that the Moors was in charge, had most of the land in Spain, that's a misnomer. That's not true. There was never one Moorish power. It really wasn't like that. But people tell it, they make you think that, the Moors had half of Europe, and that ain't true. They had pockets that they ran, but that's it, just pockets. And in Isabella, when they finally defeated them, but really the Inquisition was more for the Jewish faith people than for the Moors. And so the running of the Bulls is also getting rid of the Jewish faith people too. So it's not just the Moors. I know maybe said that before. It's just the Moors. It also shows them getting rid of the Jewish faith people as well. And it would be almost more so the Jewish faith people because, again, you didn't see, you saw them like in herds of people being ran out of Spain, whereas the Moors fought them. And a lot of the Moors, again, as I talk about El Zagal, they paid him off, and he basically gave his kingdom up to them. And then his brother, who he was co-regent with, kept fighting them. And then they finally surrendered, and they let them leave, and they let some stay. So some of them stayed. Not all the Moors left. Some of them stayed, and a lot of them did leave. They let them leave, though. They didn't just destroy them. They let the Navy come in and pick some of them up, where the Jewish faith people weren't so lucky in those regards. A lot of people wouldn't transfer them to other countries. So with the Moors, they kind of let them work them out. Where the people that stopped fighting, they was let loose. But that's what it symbolizes. I feel every season is my season, baby. I just wear different clothes. What did he say? I don't even know my name because everybody calls me handsome. Let me read the divination while I'm talking about it. So we should be, yes. Here we go. So we'd be at 13 Katuns, 0 Katuns, 8 Tunes, 8 Uno, and we should be the death card today. So we should be at 6 Kin. And 6 Kin would be Semi, death, revelation, realization of mortality of the physical body. And again, the energy is from the north, and that is Semi. In the Toltec, Zotec, which however you want to say it. I lost my place. In this image in the card, we see death. watching the human beings through an instrument called talalamni, which was used to calculate the movement of celestial objects in the sky, passing time, and therefore the duration of life. However, death is seated on a red throne, which symbolizes a renewal of life, meaning that death is not the enemy of life, but the proprietary partner. Its proprietary partner. In the Toltec Oracle, the card death does not represent misfortune, but on the contrary, an opportunity for evolution and transcendence. The time for renewal has come. Something has reached an end, and it is time to let go and embrace the new time. A cycle has been completed. What used to give you life is not giving it to you anymore. You should move on to the next stage. Don't hesitate, because if you keep hanging around what is already gone, you will grieve an emptiness in the same place where you used to find flowers and joy. It is time to turn your head to the time that is coming. Do not look back, because the vision of the time that is leaving may scare you and depress you to the point of depleting your energy. Leave the past in the past and embrace the new time that is arriving. And it is in this stage that your opportunity for growth is greater than ever. Take the opportunity and make the best out of it. Here's an interesting one. What is my internal age, and to what extent is my internal age consistent with my biological age? That's worth paying attention to. What is your biological age? Have I been resisting adapting to my biological age and the situation, the changes that has come with it? Here's one. What beliefs have I carried so far that I may need to let go? How are some of my old beliefs affecting my development and process at this stage of my life? Is the work that I am doing giving me life? Am I letting my passion for life flow through the work that I am doing? Is it time for a change? Am I in a relationship that's already dead? Am I trying to sustain a relationship that isn't giving me life anymore? Is there a way to transform this relationship to nurture it from new sources, or is it time to just let it go? Review the significant relationships of your current life and see how each one of them is working. Mark those that are asking for big transformation, or have they arrived at a dead end? What kind of seeds was I planting along my way? Am I harvesting the kinds of fruits? So just some examples. Again, when you look at death as a weekly occurrence, as a monthly occurrence, as far as a cycle of time, then it doesn't make you afraid of death. And that's kind of how they looked at it. That's kind of how they looked at it. So if that's coming, you're not afraid of that challenge. So that's one thing I like that they put that in there, because again, it's the end of something. And not something that's fearful. I was asking my brother, I need to talk to my cousins, because I remember I was about 5 years old and there was a death. One of my uncle's wives, there was a death in her family. And I remember the body was there in the house. And they didn't embalm it, but I remember everybody went to the house and the person was still in the bed. I remember seeing that. I can remember the way the room was shaped and everything. And my mother said she couldn't remember that. But it was one time where you didn't take people, people stayed at the house. People didn't go, you didn't go to the mortuary and they got embalmed, And I don't know if you've ever kissed a dead person that's been embalmed. It's like kissing plastic. I remember I kissed my aunt. I followed my cousin. My cousin kissed his mother. I followed him, and it was like, it's like she had a plastic face on. So won't make that mistake again. But I just remember that was a thing with that family, that everybody came to the house to visit. And I was young, maybe not even 5, probably 4 going on 5. So I was quite young. But I just remember that grandmother or something, one of them's, can't remember, but my uncle's wife, her maybe grandmother, so my cousin's great grandmother, or even great great grandmother could have been. So it was an older person, but I remember the body still being in the house. I don't know if anybody's ever experienced that before, because embalming didn't come in until the Civil War. In the Civil War, it was practiced as a way to, you could still see your person kind of looking, your son kind of looking like what he looked like before he left. So it was a way to preserve the body. And then it just became a standard business. And I remember living in North Carolina. When I lived in North Carolina, Europeans embalmed and buried Europeans, melanated people uh, embalmed and buried melanated people. And it was under the guise that there wouldn't be fair competition because everybody would go to the Europeans, was what I was told. But it's funny, in my life of living there still in the 80s, it was still that, because it was still cemeteries where just melanated people was buried. And then, it was still segregated cemeteries in the 80s. I lived by a melanated one. When they killed when the Klan killed some of the communists, they were just Union. I remember one of the sisters was buried there, but it wasn't far from where I lived. Matter of fact, it was behind where we played basketball. Behind the basketball court was part of the cemetery, or behind the park. I kissed my dad and grandpa. That was cold and felt like rubber. Yeah, you're thinking skin. Yeah, it's not skin like this. It's not soft like that. It is a totally different kind of thing. But I just followed my cousin. And again, it devastated me. My aunt had been sick for a while, though, so it was good that she didn't have to suffer. So, but it was like, that was a tough part of my life. I remember in a 3-month period, I lost my aunt, my grandfather, my grandmother, and my uncle, like all in like 4 months. All of them died like that. So my grandmother had Alzheimer's. My grandfather, they thought his whole life, because he worked at a concrete company, and they thought he had concrete dust in his lungs, but actually he had probably had cancer for years, and they didn't even know it. And so when he passed really fast. They went to a nursing home, and he was tired, so he sat down in the room they was about to move into. They went and signed the paperwork, and they came back. He was dead in the nursing home where they had left him. After looking at the room and stuff, he died that quickly. My uncle had MS, multiple sclerosis, and he had the kind that he got worse. Some people have it where they don't get any worse, but he had it where he always was going to get worse. And I watched him from walking with a walker to last time I saw him, he couldn't even feed himself anymore. And multiple sclerosis, a lot of it was caused from having mercury fillings. They used to put mercury. They used to put mercury in you, and then mercury gave you multiple sclerosis. Well, thank you, Mark. That is mighty kind. I was always told that their skin is cold. I never experienced it with my dad and my mama. Okay. I mean, I've touched dead people, and I've found dead people and stuff like that. But I've seen dead people. I'm not found, but I've been around people that have died and been dead for a while, rigor mortis and stuff, and how they felt. It's no warmth to them. Yeah, they feel cold. But thank you, Mark. That's mighty kind of you. And death has a smell. Definitely has a smell to it too, be it human or animal. A dead person outside can smell the same way when an animal dies. It's kind of a very similar smell. I know sometimes we get whiff of stuff here, and I'm like, wow, what is dead around here? Somebody threw something dead in our dumpster one time. It was like, I went to take out the trash. It was like, whoa, somebody stuck something in there dead. I was glad when they picked that shit up, because it was pretty funky having to take out trash. But it's not a lot going on in the world up here. Pretty quiet after not even hearing hardly. It's funny, since the Floyd thing, you're not even hearing anything about the right. I know Dick's Sports had boarded up their windows, but what was funny is part of the mall, you got Dick's Sports on one side, and then you have Macy's. Now, Macy's sells more expensive things than Dick's Sports. Dick's Sports doesn't sell guns anymore. Since the gun scare a few years ago, I think the last Obama year, they quit selling guns. So it's just sporting equipment in there, compared to Macy's got diamonds and gold. So Macy's didn't board up their stuff, and Macy's was still open. So I don't know. Well, thank you, Smoke Toe. Thank you. Somebody today is going to go cold. Oh yeah, Lorenzo. Well, thank you, Smoke Toe. I guess that's what he meant. That's what he meant. Yeah. That's one of the things is it happens pretty quick. And a lot of people, they're passing, they'll tell you they start to feel cold. And that's the life force leaving them. And then, the silver cord that really gets cut. And that's when it's time to move on. It might be you cutting and be like, hey, it's time to go. And, go on to where all beings have the right to move freely in whatever space they want to move into. That is kind of universal law. So, that thing about even reading a little bit about this Buddhism, they're talking about, seeing the light and stuff. Again, you don't want that false light. You don't want the blinding light. I understand what they were saying, but that's a part that you don't want. You have the right to create your own light and have your own, your own space. Again, I'll repeat this every night. Every person wants to be a planet, and every planet wants to be a galaxy. So it's out of sight. At least that's my goal, is to let turn into something more than what I am. Turn into a planet and see what would develop on me. And sit back and watch it. Yesterday I was talking about Mars again, and today they talking about they find some bacterias again, that document discovery there. Not any kind of words about, us being on here, because when they say sterile things, and what did Star Trek say? Star Trek says you can't go to other planets and interfere. So aren't they supposedly on another planet interfering? How sterile could all that be once it went there? It still came from here. And so if it's killing a certain type of life there, they would hope so. They would purposely put poison so they could go up there and say the thing was dead. Or it could be a war up there and we would know nothing about it. I doubt that, but it could be. Even with Chauvin sentencing, BLM through wrecking havoc in Minneapolis. Now they're going to Columbia, Ohio for the Bryant thing. I saw Ohio State was protesting. And then something happened in North Carolina. Hey, so peace to you. Thank you. But somebody got shot in North Carolina. I didn't catch any more than that, but someone got shot in the back in North Carolina today or last night. Not sure if anybody knows. There's my man, Siova. They talking about bringing the rock and dust back from Mars, contaminating everything. Siova, hey, if you want to know anything to protect, Siova is the guy. You guys gotta definitely watch his lives and subscribe to him, because you have any questions about any of this tech stuff, he's the dog for that. He is the guy for that. And I appreciate that you give that information out, brother. I really do appreciate it. Let me say this. I ain't the only one watching you, because I've been seeing other people take your advice, because I've always made short clips. When I do my sports things and my commentaries, I always do short clips. But I've been seeing some people cutting up their podcast, kind of like you said. I thought that was interesting. I don't know if you caught that, but I caught some other people cutting up their podcast, like you said, do short clips of your podcast. So it's people taking your advice. So keep killing them, brother. You see the Kentucky player just signed to Clutch Sports. Yeah, I saw that. And then he got taken out. And so oh, yeah, you definitely did. You definitely answered some questions for me. I appreciate it. I am going to definitely get a laptop. It made a lot of sense. Yeah. Oh, okay. You called some people too. Yeah, I called them like, they heard the brother. They heard the brother. But yeah, I mean, he puts out positive things on the tech side of things, and he gives it up. And it's not easy to share knowledge. And so thank everybody. Support the brother. You got any people doing this that need a little help, that's a brother for it. So definitely positive brother. Definitely positive brother. He plays all the groovy tunes too. He be rocking in there. I'll be feeling it. I'm like, yeah. I guess my question would be, how do people on these other sites get away without the copyright thing of playing music? Because Match Me plays music. I think when you was doing the Twitch things, they play music. But I mean, Match Me, people will play music for hours. And how is it that Facebook and YouTube can copyright people for playing music? These sites can't. I don't get that. I don't get that. LeBron down with the shit. Of course he is. Of course he is. Of course LeBron is. I mean, LeBron's got Boulay on his back and he didn't even go to college. Boulay is all about pushing education. They don't. That's the thing. Yeah. So that's yeah, they don't. Yeah. And copyright laws are different. All copyright. Okay, I get you. Kentucky was connected. Oh, they got hit last year. Okay, but Match Me, they play music like crazy. Kentucky was connected to LeBron. That could be for telling people about the out of game. He telling about the out of game of this year NBA Finals. Oh, okay. Or it could be another one for LeBron and them because you know LeBron about to be in. They playing a big game tomorrow because they only two up. They only two up. Player of this year's finals. Yeah. I got you, Lorenzo. I know what you're saying. So that could be a precursor for the NBA Finals, another sacrifice, just like Kobe was for last year, no doubt. That Kobe was a sacrifice for the Lakers. Let's look at Jerry West. If we see Jerry West these next few weeks before the finals kick off, we know something's up. And, you know, it looks so bad when they put Jabbar, they giving Jabbar the plunge. And, Jabbar lost most of his bread, had to sell all his rings and all his trophies, to say that, and it was just so sad for, Jabbar to say that he's doing it for his foundation. But really, everybody know that, that brother didn't take good care of his bread and struggling. And Jabbar's got to have me by 10 years. So he got to be in his 70s. Because no, he's older. Because Jabbar graduated from high school. Well, let me see, his freshman year was 69, 70? No, 60. His freshman year was probably 67, 68. Because he won 3 titles. He won 69, 68, 67. So Jabbar probably graduated 66. So wow, he's about 74, 75, somewhere in there. Because he's about 2 years older than Dr. J, I believe. So, but it's sad seeing him there, like forced to do it. Barbara. But that's his name, Barbara. That's his name on the channel. I believe that's the name of it. I think that's his name on his channel. That you can just look that up. You should be able to find him under that name. Let's see. Yeah, that's look over the way it's spelled. Look at the way you just spelled it. Look at it under that, and you'll find him. You'll find him under that. But the price of fame. The price of fame is hell, and so when it's time to pay the piper, you got to pay the piper. I mean, we saw Scottie Pippen, his son at 33. He wore 33. I mean, this is how dirty they put it in your face. And he had already lost a daughter years ago. He had a daughter that lived to be in the 9 days old. So you see how they do this thing, and you so this is the price of fame that everybody thinks they want. I mean, just look at what they did to the melanated folks. First, they pushed baseball to bring, everybody up north, and they pushed baseball. They built baseball parks all around. Because when I was young, there was still a lot of baseball parks around. And then if you look at what they did in the late 50s, early 60s, when they built all these, Caprini Greens, the gardens, all that kind of stuff, built these high rises. They put the melanated people on top of each other. They built basketball parks near them. And so the push became put everybody in basketball. I would say a little bit of football in the 60s, but the parks were always more basketball. And again, to play football with equipment, you need 22 people. Now you can play 7-on-7, group of guys get together, but It's more expensive, whereas basketball, you just need 10, 10 of pretty much any age just to go up and down. But it was pushing people into that. And you see the opposite for European folks, because they were purposely blocked out after after the leagues combined. After the leagues combined in 77 season, if you look at the rosters, it's almost equal. And then you going into the 80s, you had some teams didn't have any European players. And, that makes no sense. How the talent didn't go anywhere. The colleges didn't go down. But it was these people weren't, pushed into playing pro ball. I mean, even looking with counting Larry Bird, and you're looking at the numbers by the time even Larry Bird comes in at 78, 79. Or 79-80 season, I believe was that first season. Yeah, 79-80. Yeah, 79-80. So it was, and then replaced them 20, 30 years later with truly players from the Eastern Bloc in Spain. So I don't know. And it could be a thing where, you're not training the people to be entertainers, the entertainment career. But if you looked at college, the college numbers never changed. But it was just taking, the amount of people that were allowed to go into the next step did change dramatically. If you look at the rosters, especially looking at 80, the teams in the 80s, after the merger, that was the word I was fumbling on, was the merger. Kareem is 74. He turned that last week. Okay, I thought he had to be at least that old. Yeah, I thought Lorenzo, he had to be at least that old. Yeah, he had to graduate in 66 from high school because he graduated in 69. Yeah, he graduated in 69, and he was the first pick, the coin flip, them and Phoenix. And Phoenix picked up Connie Hawkins in the draft. The Bucks got Jabbar. Phoenix picked Connie Hawkins. And Connie Hawkins was, old. Connie Hawkins graduated from high school like in 60 or 61. He's like, I want to say he was my mother's age, maybe my father's age, but Connie Hawkins died a few years ago. So, but yeah, Connie Hawkins went to Phoenix. Jabbar, or he was Lou Alcindor then, went to the Bucks, and they won it the second year. But he looked so sad sitting there, looked so sad. But I would say the one to watch, and we already saw Elgin Baylor go down. I would say let's watch Jerry West. He's probably, because Jerry West is old. Jerry West is probably, let's look that up. Jerry West is probably 80 years old. How old is Jerry West? Yeah, 82 years old. He's born in 1938. He's an old pimp. Trying to see if I can see any more Lakers. No. So Jerry West, 82. So I wouldn't be surprised if they put Jerry West on the clock. I really wouldn't. So we have to watch out to see if they, get another Laker. But that could be the blood they needed, is the Kentucky guy. I mean, that's kind of how the thing worked. And then you see another young man is foregoing college and signed right into the G team, the elite team. And the elite team plays in the money tournaments. Like when we see probably September, we'll see another TNT tournament. But they have them all around the country where they're money tournaments. You put up so much bread. Like each team might have to put up 10 grand. And then the prize be, each team put in 10 grand, but the prize be for $1 million. That's kind of how the TNT kind of thing goes. And everybody on the team would split $1 million. And people used to get mad at me. Like if I put all the money up, I'm gonna get most of the money. I would pay the guy some, but if it's like it was like $4 or $5 grand I had to put up, and I put most of the money up, the guys would be mad because I would keep most of it. But I'm like, how can you be mad? It costs to pay in these tournaments, and none of y'all want to pay. And sometimes I have to pay everybody for their rooms and stuff, and then they'd be mad that but I would give them some money. It wasn't like I wouldn't give them something, but that used to make me mad. I'm like, you knew what I told you before. If we win, I'm gonna keep this amount, and you'll get this amount for playing. And before you go, everybody would agree. And then they see that bread there. Because they give you cash. The money turned out to be like cash. They give you cash, like boxing match. They would, bring that bread out. They would give us trophies too. It was kind of cool. They'd give you cash and trophies. Well, one year we won these big pretty clocks, big pretty clocks. And we'd get that bread. Dudes see that real bread there, they'd be like, wait a minute, trying to renegotiate. The Celtics were known for having the most Caucasian players and about the only team that had the most league players back in the 80s. And now you see Dallas and Utah as well. Dallas and Utah has been like that too. And Dallas is always, Dallas had Dirk and they had Nash. Nash is from Canada. And you see that you look at the team now, but look at Utah. But so was San Antonio. San Antonio, I'm going to European players from Europe. But San Antonio was another one. Their coach is Army intelligence. And so you see what he's put, the psyop that he's working under. But again, they brought Tony Parker over. Tim Duncan's from America, so I never count him, but Ginobili. And you can't tell me that Ginobili was that good at 6'4", 6'5", that he should have been brought over. He wasn't that good. It's just like the Olympics when Spain won. And America's got the bronze, third place or something like that. That was all fixed for Spain to win and for the world to say, well, these players in Europe must have got that much better. You see, they beat the Americans. Remember, the Russians beat the Americans on a cheap play in 72. The silent generation. Jerry West was born during the silent generation. I thought it was the great generation because he would be with my mother. So it's the silent generation. I thought it was called the great generation because my mother was born in 41. So she'd be part, because my mother's just, she hates me saying her age, but my mother's born in 41. Gives you an idea. Oh, silent generation. I always thought it was the great generation. One of my boys told me that. So, and I mean, one of my sons. So, okay. Because I'm a baby boomer. Me and my mother and I are not in the same generation. I am a baby boomer. And baby boomers went from 45 to 64. Man, I'm an old pimp. I'll be 60 in a couple months. I'll be 60 in June. Rebecca H. Just saying hi. Well, thank you for joining me, Rebecca H. How you been doing? How's everything over there? How's everything over there? Where you at? You guys moving around? Or you guys still, have to be hold up? But thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. MJ. Thank you for joining me. Yeah, the UK. I know where you at. I know who you are. I was wondering how things going over there. Silent Generations was from, we are out of it now. Okay, that's cool. 28 to 45. So my father's in that too. Thank you, Lorenzo. So my father would be part of that. But nice to see. So you guys are out of pandemic. Okay, that's good. That's good. Oh, I miss you too, dear. I'm glad to hear you, but I'm glad to hear you grinding. Grind on. Well, that's good, Rebecca. I'm glad you guys are able to move around. You back at work and everything? Family moving around? So I hope so. It's about the same here. Some states is, you looked at the game tonight, they letting more and more. They saying they letting what race is coming up? What race is coming up? May. So the Daytona? No, the Daytona was in January. But the Indianapolis 500 is going to have, that place holds, I want to say that racetrack holds 300,000 people, if not more. It's one of the biggest stadiums in America, the Indy Stadium. And they're letting 100 and some thousand go to Indianapolis. So, and that place ain't going to be, that place I think holds between 3 and 4. Let's see. How many people does the Indianapolis 500 spectators? No, it doesn't tell how big it is. 40% capacity. Yeah. So how many people does the Brickyard hold? 257,000. Wow. Yeah, I knew I wasn't too far off with 300. Okay. So 200 and some. So they're letting Lorenzo said, let me see. Woke sister, wholeness to you. Hey, y'all. I am drunk right now. Lone play. I don't blame you. It's Friday night. PJ. Hey, James, thank you for joining me. You know how women feel? Yeah, exactly. I'm logging out, but speak soon. Okay. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming through. The Kentucky Derby also coming up. There's going to be next Saturday. Oh, that means bet. Oh my goodness. And you know what? This is one of the few times I don't have the horse racing channel. My cable company doesn't have the horse racing channel, so I haven't been up on what young horses have done what. But we have racing up here. We have horse racing up here, not far from where I live. We have like amusement park. Like we don't just have the one like Mall of America. You know, that's an indoor amusement park. But we have an amusement park not far, and my daughter has you know, you can go as much as you want. She has a free pass to go as many times as she wants. Reverse ordinal, AJ. You made me miss. Okay, the Kentucky Derby. So, oh, okay, yeah, I got to get some money on that. Start looking. And that's where a little divination hurts if you haven't followed the horses through the season. So I got to do a little work if it's coming up that quick. Wow, wow. And you know the Indianapolis 500 has changed since that dude got killed. And I used to have that picture because you know, dude, that open car, a car landed on a guy in Las Vegas. I used to have a picture of it. It didn't show it on top of him, but it showed the car in the air, and it's like the car underneath is like driving, and that car is up over him, and you know it landed and it killed the driver. So now they have little mini cages, which would save that guy, which would have saved that guy. Reverse ordinal. What did I miss, Jay? Did I miss something? Reverse ordinal. Oh, okay. Sports Center just showed a woman holding a sign at the GS game saying MVP equals 30. Of course, in reverse ordinal. Ordinal. Oh, okay, I got you. I got you. I got you. Yeah, my birthday is in June 30th. My birthday is June 30th. Yep. I'll be 60. This is all of us. You know, my mother was born on 41. I was born on 61. My son Cameron was born at 01, and then Natalie was born at 11. So we are all transitioning into the zeros. So, yeah, your birthday. Yep, June 30th. So so you know, float on Cancer. My name is Brian. Oh yeah, Cancer. Oh, you're a Virgo. Ah, cool. And Katerpi started playing when I said that the 8 win. Ah, that's funny. I've been down there. I've been down there too. It's fun to go down to Kentucky Derby. I've been down to the Indianapolis 500 too, and the Daytona. I just haven't been to any Super Bowls, but I've been to that kind of stuff. So, and that's quite a bit. But I told the story before. When I was in fifth grade, we made the nationals in a thing that was called Junior Pro. So it was like a week being in Kentucky. You were down there, Transylvania, Lexington, and we performed in the University of Kentucky Rump Arena. I think it's still called Rump Arena, but we got to see Secretariat two years in a row. And so I had a love of horses since then. We went to the place June 8th. Oh, Gemini, June 8th. Okay, Barbara. And so I got to see Secretariat, and that's been my love of horses. We went to where Man and War is. Um, but June in my family, let me see, let me start. My son's birthday, the one that's born 11, he about to be 20, is June 5th. My stepfather's is the 15th. My brother and my grandfather was June 22nd, or my brother's is June 22nd. My sister's is June 25th. And I have an aunt a year and a day older than me. Hers is June 29th. So she's about to turn 61. We're a year and a day old. So my grandmother had a baby, a year-old baby, when her first grandchild was born. uh, oh, okay. Thank you for doing that, brother. Thank you for giving that to her. So June 8th. So, yep. So we have a lot of birthdays in June. And, you know, I used to kill them because trying to think, it's like Father's Day, my birthday, and then my ex-wife, we got married in like July. We got married like July, before the 4th of July, we had got married. So it was like Father's Day, she had to get me a gift, my birthday, and then anniversary. Well, we got each other gifts, but she was like, damn, can I just give you one thing altogether? And you know, women was like, well, can I just give you some and that'll be your gift? Like, I get that every other day, so I want something else. But you know how women are. When women are try to use that Like, no, I would rather have a gift, please. So then I heard my ex is going to Vegas, so I'm joyful for her. She gets to go have a good time. So I am joyful for her because she's appeared in a couple of my dreams. So I was like, what do you need? Because usually something's going on when she appears in my dreams. But I think she was just giving me a little encouragement in my dream. So that's why I've got to get some more that Sing Legit. I got to order some more of that stuff. I think I'm going to order the drops. Get the pure stuff. But I'll tell you, it's that stuff helps with a lot of the spiritual stuff. It definitely does. Okay, she found you. Yeah. Anybody that's interested in that kind of work, even you not, the brothers support the brother. The brother is a great personality, and that's what I look for. It's like some people can show stuff, but their personality is just dry. So he's got a great personality, and he's fly. He's smooth. He's smooth. So I like smooth brothers like myself. I know I'm very smooth, so I like brothers that's smooth and got their own style. That's how I look at it. Or as you say, how is your funk? Oh, but it was cold up here. As I was saying, you can still kind of see. I don't know if let me see. This one ain't really showing. Like if you look at how this one's kind of shriveled up and some of these other leaves aren't because this one is, see, the camera adjusted to that. But how these are further away from the window. These are away from the window, shriveled up a little bit. They got cold. Because when I walked out in the front room, I was like, ooh. But I forget that I leave the windows open. And it got cold. It got in the 30s last night. It's been rainy all day. Let's see, what is it now? Because it's supposed to snow Monday. It's supposed to be 50-some degrees. It's 45 degrees right now. Oh, they changed Mondays. No, they haven't. So it's supposed to be 48 degrees Saturday day. And then it's going to get down to 39 degrees and snow on Sunday. But then Monday is supposed to be 72 degrees. This is some crazy weather. Again, this is the only place I've ever lived that it snow. I saw snow in April and I saw snow in May. In 2015, we had 15 inches in May. May 5th, we had 15 inches of snow. Now, it melted the next day. There's a lot of, flooding going on because of it. But May, 15 inches of snow. That was the day my son tore up my rim on my Land Rover and tried to lie. Said, I don't know what happened, Dad. Like, yeah, you ran into one of those guards and you ripped my rim in two and was still driving the truck. Yeah, it was that day. And luckily where I work was near a discount tire. And so they changed it. And I remember the rim cost me just as much as the tire. That's why them cars is expensive. They are expensive cars. Weather manipulation, you think? Probably. Yeah, yes, indeed. Yeah, wacky weather, definitely wacky. Because one day, when it gets 70, when it gets 50 up here and sunny, people be in shorts. On 50 up here and sunny, people be with shorts on. But 72, people are definitely be in shorts. But, might be shoveling out from the day before. But could definitely be weather manipulation for sure. The problem is, crops aren't getting put in yet, but the flooding, that's the thing. They like down here, because we live near the lake. I know behind me, they would get hit with flood. I doubt it would ever get high as I am. I am kind of on a hill. And so I don't think the water would ever get this high. But I know these people that live in these townhouses behind me, because my ex used to live over there. And she got flooded in her townhouse. And they're kind of elevated slightly too, but now I'm a lot higher up. So it would have to be like 20 feet of water to reach me. So, but it sucks fire seeing the moon. It really sucks. I'm on a bad viewing point of seeing the moon. And we're going to have, I believe it's a red moon that's coming in Monday too. So it should be pretty for everyone. So, yeah, I think it is too. Hey, Brother Edward, thank you for joining me. And MJ, I got to have you back on as well. You have a lot of good information too. People would like to hear your information. You have a good perspective on things. In Duncanville, Texas, there have been some cool breezy days this spring. Okay, okay. It was nice yesterday. Yesterday was nice. Again, I walked almost 2 miles yesterday. Um, I was at the store to get something, and then I was walking back, and my son was like, "Well, can you get me this?" And I was like, "Should I go home and get the car just to drive back over here?" So I went back and picked it up and walked it, but I forget that my arm hurts, and so this morning I'm like, "Oh, why can't I bend my arm?" And I was like, "Oh, I carried that dang thing back here." It's like, "Oh, I forgot." I just forget. And I'm naturally like I'm right-handed, but I'm stronger left-handed. So I naturally reach for things with my left hand. It's just kind of the way I train myself to be both-handed. So, oh, all right, yeah, just hit me up. Let me know when you have time. But I hope everything is smooth in your part of the world. I know your state has opened up. They're still tripping around here a little bit. I saw somebody brave and didn't have a mask on with their child. I'm like, that's a great thing to teach your child. Like, fuck this stupidness. But the stores have the right to tell you to get the fuck out too, because it is their business. And you kind of got to play by their rule. The foster mom of the Makia Bryant came out today on what caused the fights, which led to the shooting. Interesting. Interesting, but they already did the call that showed that somebody called. One of them called and said they was going crazy. So, I mean, I don't know. It appeared like a psyop with the knife and everything. Like I was talking about yesterday, what would make someone that young? Because knife killing is a killing with passion. It's a passion killing. It's like whoever did the OJ thing, and if whatever was real about that was a crime of passion. And knife killing is very personal. You got to be up close on somebody. And what would like how would a person that young have that much hate in their heart that you really just wanted to stab a motherfucker? It's just that takes a lot of hate. And like how at 16 years old could you build up that much hate? And then we know a week later a young girl was killed with a knife. And so a knife can kill you, it can kill you. So I don't have any opinion on it. The Supreme Court already showed you that the police aren't there to protect you. So the idea that the police killed someone to protect someone else is moot because the Supreme Court already said that ain't their job. Their job is to protect property. And so you weren't working in the capacity of protecting property. I still don't, know if that's going to come up, but I'm saying by their own definition, they are not there to protect people. So them saying that, yeah, you did save someone's life, but that ain't normally your job. You're under the charter, under the Supreme Court, you are not there to protect people. So I don't know how far that argument is going to go. Sleepers, first immunization. Oh, okay. You had the first one? All right. How you feel? I hope you feel okay. Sleepers. Yeah, sleepers, exactly. So that's just my thing. Is that's not, uh that's not what they do. They're there to protect property. They are not there to protect people. So I don't know. I mean, that's what they're going to use, but you can look up the Supreme Court case. It already said they ain't there to protect people. So that would go against that, where they protected a person. So we'll see. We'll see where that goes. I find that interesting. I find that very interesting. But it's a way to, again, they ain't the enemy. They ain't the enemy. And that's what people have to understand. Quit falling for it. I mean, you got Floyd comes and goes, and then you got Black Lives Matter making 90 million plus when they were a dead group. 90 million. So who benefited off of Floyd if they didn't benefit? And we've already showed, I keep hitting the table, so it's me hitting my knee because I have to sit elevated because I've got cushion under me. But I mean, you look at who really benefited. So Floyd's family got 27, Black Lives Matter got 90. So doesn't it seem like they benefited off of Floyd? Because they weren't there at first. But did you notice day 3 or day 4, all of a sudden every shot on TV showing they signs? So it's almost like the news was working with them to make sure they got them in the shot. Newspapers, TV shots, and then the NBA picks that amongst all things. But you see how they checking LeBron James? They checking his ass. He got checked. It was like he took his shit down, and you know these conservatives is roasting his ass. But the conservatives know to play just as well. They know to play just as well. So it's all theater. It really is. It's just all theater. You know, bringing up these things to get your emotions. It's a hoax. Yeah, it is, PJ. It's definitely a hoax. It's a scam. It's a scam agency. Jay Coral, thank you. I'm glad when these stop emailing me about. Oh, no, the worst is this shit. The worst is this shit. Get this shit is like, your number, can you come in? You know, I'm getting like these every day, like, you're of the age, you can come in anytime. But did you see how they did people? Did you see how I was talking to my brother about this. Did you see how they did people? So they have you going to get tested in your car. Remember, you drive your car up and get tested, and then all of a sudden you can drive your car up to get the plunge. Isn't that interesting? I mean, they already got you saying that's okay. I mean, how it's like a sterile shit. How is that really sterile? You just out in the wilderness, and you can just take the plunge outside. I didn't know you could take plunges outside like that. Jay said, scripted LeBron shit. Hell no, I'm not coming no time. I emailed my ass back. No jab for me. I'm saying children or immunization could be the cause for kids acting out. Oh, okay, I got you. Okay, I got you. Oh, you saw that with LeBron, MJ? Yeah, I'll be glad when these white folks stop yelling at me. Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah. 9, 9, and 9 equals 9. There you go. That's why I was sitting there adding up in my head about Scottie Pippen, when the baby living 9 days, 333. I was sitting there adding my head. I was like, 333. Yep. It's a spell. Yes, Besmar, it is definitely a spell. Yep. It's funny how it gets resolved on the same day. Yep. Seems like it's going to be like the man from the show Quantum Leap. Hey, there's my man, Crazy Sarge. I got to give you a call too, Crazy Sarge. But that's my man. But yeah, it is like that. It's like they jump all around. And then the people, the guy who made the name, he's been hitting them with a cease and desist. So he's like, you're going to have to send some of that bread up to him. So he's like, wait a minute, I invented this shit. And, you getting all the bread? And then the sister gets on and says, well, I take care of my family, so I had to buy all my family these houses. And let's be honest, one of the houses was like $200,000, and that ain't very much. And like the house in California was like $200,000 or $400,000, which out there, that ain't shit out in California. To buy a house in California where, it's massively $1 million houses out there. So I thought, wow, for a house, that ain't very much for a house in California. They act like she bought a mansion in California. Yeah, 400,000 ain't buying you a mansion in California. LeBron and these female Democrats trying to take over, seem like. Well, LeBron comes from the Boule kind of thing. It was probably LeBron's idea to put the BLM in the, which gave him more publicity. Every bubble game you're getting to see that, more people giving up money, but these businesses working with them. So that shows you they're a government agency. California price is ridiculous. Oh, you're in Texas. I know my stepdad wanted to move from Texas, but he couldn't sell his house in California. He lives about 3 hours from LA north. Not far as San Francisco, though. 8 when I just realized Kobe at 41 confirmed Joseph win MVP because he was the 41st pick in the draft. That you might be on spot there. Well, I might have to make that bet. Right, he wrote it in the script. There you go. I just realized, yeah, it could be, because that's who they pushing. Because they showed the thing of him and Embiid, Joker and Embiid, points and rebounds is the same, but Joker is hitting more of assist, but Embiid missed 18 games. They're going to count that against him, and so it looks like they're trying to give it to Curry too, though. They're trying to give it to Curry too. Oh, Lone Place. I live in California right now. Okay. Okay. And the place, North California. Okay. Okay. Um, but the place, that's Sister Yuba City. Ah, I got it. Got you. But the place where she lived, they was like, well, you know, that's exclusive. And then when they said the price, I'm like, that ain't exclusive. 400,000 ain't exclusive to live around LA. It was around LA, one of the suburbs. And so it wasn't exclusive. It's like, you know, they was lying. I mean, she bought an average house. Homie, thank you. They gassing up Embiid and Curry, ignoring Joker to get people to bet on him, but Joker definitely gonna win it. Good point. Good point. I think that 41 might, because you still can bet on who's gonna win it. So the odds, I was trying to think, the odds was in favor of Joker. I saw that on the waging show earlier. I watched both of the waging shows, the one on Fox and the one on ESPN. I think I like the one a little better on Fox. The Browns sound like a ratchet female tweeting, I'm tired of these, please. Yeah, Lorenzo, he was tripping. That emotionalism too, you know. And I wrote shit on Facebook, uh, emotional, but not really, just things that need to really happen. And it was more about what was going to happen with this Floyd thing, because it was a lot of people on their way here, and a lot of people got caught off guard. So and now they're trying to say all the ways, the judge did some bullshit too, talking about Waters. She should have never came in the subject. The judge put that shit up for appeal, but listening to these other lawyers, and these lawyers were like, yeah, the only thing he could really appeal is the third charge. So he's going to go, but we'll see. We'll see how much time he gets. LeBron paid to look stupid. The script a fool. Then Candace Owen comes out against him just the way he would love it. Yeah, oh yeah. Ja'Cory, definitely. Like, I listened to her the night before that came out, when she was on, they had her on Fox, and just and it's like, this is the funny thing with Fox. Fox was all like, again, hating what happened to Floyd, but Fox has to play the opposite. They have to play the opposite. The Yahshua and the devil kind of deal. So even though they was earlier saying what was wrong with the shit, then this thing comes in, so they have to play opposite. So they're like, well, he's there, he can get appeal, and but now I could be wrong, but I remember one dude. This dude was up for shooting his wife, and he was a deputy sheriff. I don't remember how the sheriff's office helped him, because it supposedly happened when he was off duty. And I went to the court case. They didn't prove he shot. He probably did shoot this lady, but they didn't prove it. But anyway, the union some kind of way helped pay some of his court cases. But once he got convicted, the union didn't pay any of his appeal. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen to him, because my understanding, once he got convicted, the union is supposed to drop. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but I just got reference to that case because I had to look up some of my old notes. And I remember once his case, he got convicted, the union didn't give him any more support for appeal money, because this shit ain't free. It's easy to say appeal, but if you ain't got the bread to appeal, and you ain't got the bread to pay them lawyers to work on your appeal, then, because ain't no court-appointed lawyer going to get you off for appeal. Not like that. Candace and LeBron dapping it in the back. Yeah, absolutely. 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 Oh, shit, I should have got a handkerchief. Man, I should have busted the handkerchief out. I didn't even think about that. I could have got the gray handkerchief on the velour. You can get velour smoking jackets. Remember Red Fox, he threw the jacket back at Winona? Like, take your little raggedy jacket back. But yeah, Candace wasn't saying that when she was getting bullied. Remember when Candace got bullied and they sued some bullies? She wasn't saying all that shit she talks about now. But she definitely spouted it then when she was getting bullied. Used to be in the Bernie Sanders support before she became all black conservative. Well, I'm saying, when she was bullied, she wasn't saying, was anything wrong with taking bread. Now she's playing a role, though. She's playing a role, Like they came out, that report of the dude, they busted one of the producers at Fox. They get people that they know what the people going to say. And that's pretty much. They bring in people that they can trust and they know what the person's going to say. That's the people they put on each show. It's like that Tucker shit. He had one dude that said he did shit wrong. The way he arrested him was wrong. Oh, and I don't know if y'all caught this. So this is something that got thrown out of that they wouldn't let them they wouldn't let the prosecution bring up. They're supposed to release the body cam, but Chauvin did a 15-year-old boy the same way. He hit a 15-year-old boy upside the head with a flashlight, kind of his hand and the flashlight together. And then after hitting him, he grabbed the boy by the throat and then he slammed the boy down and he was on his back the same way. And they wanted to present that evidence and they wouldn't let him. That is why the feds are investigating. That's what started the investigation of the feds investigating MPD here. And then they better investigate that gang unit. I told before about L from what's it, In Close, the guy, the lead singer from My Wifey. Remember that song, My Wifey? L, he lives here. And he talks about the gang unit. He had told somebody, he said he didn't trust banks and he had about 40 racks and just cash in his house. And he messed around and told somebody. The gang unit raided his house and took his money. And he said he never got it back. But that gang unit was left unchecked for almost 10 years. And they terrorized people in North Minneapolis under forfeiture. They would just break in your house. They took cars, they took furniture, they took jewelry, they took money. And a lot of these people was never convicted of crimes. And they never had to give the shit back. And I think it was after 15 years of letting them loose on melanated people in Minneapolis, they finally disbanded them. And I don't think any of the dudes lost their jobs. But they was just let loose under the guise of gang involvement, just breaking into people's house, stealing shit. And so that's why the feds are here. The feds are investigating this department. The police investigating the police. I got so much confidence. And so, well, these are the fed police. But yeah, they let that. So we'll see what happens with that. But my lady friend says she don't trust banks. That's how my grandfather was. My grandfather lived during the Depression, and I told the story before. So again, my grandfather dies in the rest home. So they're cleaning out the house because they buried my grandfather got cremated. So he got cremated and they had his thing and everything. So they're cleaning out the house, getting ready to move my grandmother in the rest home because she was going in there regardless. And they found about 30 racks. My cousin happened to be looking, cleaning out the fridge, and she just happened to look because she went in there and seen the bag in the freezer, and she looked in and there was money. And they was going around the house and they found about $35,000, maybe up to $40,000, where my grandfather just hid money around the house because he didn't trust banks from being in the Depression. So you imagine that. And I mean, he was working at General Motors, so he probably made $40 an hour when his peak at General Motors, and he was working. My grandfather, oh my goodness, he was killing overtime before the plant closed. He was killing it. He loved that job. My stepfather it was interesting. My stepfather got his father in, my grandfather in, he got his brother in, he got several cousins in because my stepfather used to work in personnel. So he got a lot of brothers. But when he brought everybody in, there was a lot of jobs back then, in the early 70s, early mid 70s, a lot of auto jobs in Michigan. It was the leading hirer. So, but yeah, that's how my grandfather felt. He didn't trust banks either, and they found all that money. And he forgot. When he got sick, he forgot to tell it. He didn't tell anybody he had all that money. My grandfather's very spiritual. He's come to me, which is interesting. I would have never guessed that of all the people in my family that he would come to me. He's come to me in a couple times that reassured me in some situations. So very surprising in that regard. But he's related. I mean, my grandfather and my grandmother were cousins. They were probably 7th, 8th cousins, something like that. Because I found my great grandmother, his mother. I found her name, and she's an ampy as well. So they're all in cahoots. Yeah, pretty much, Barbara. They are. I agree. They all work together. That's why they call it entertainment. All right. That is why they call it entertainment. They're all playing with the minds of the people and all this. Yeah, and your emotions, the people and their emotions, you know. What's the over and under? How long it'll take a marriage to completely fall? 7 years. I am going under. I don't know. I mean, this is the thing. So if they go fully communism, it's going to take a while and it's going to halt production. It's going to halt production for a long time because if they go full communism, people are going to fight it. Now, putting a mask on, people barely fought it. But if they go full communism, for a while, people are going to fight it. So how long are these people going to not trade? Because that's one thing that civil unrest will stop production in a lot of ways. And so you have to look at it. So I'm gonna say this mask thing is supposed to go on until at least 26 to 30. So I'm gonna say beyond then. I'm gonna say beyond 36. So I would say over. I guess if the thing was over, it's gonna be over because they're greedy. You know, like I was saying, these motherfuckers is in Mars already using the document of discovery, and they could be killing things up there, and we don't even know about it. Even if it's just the littlest single cell thing, if you kill one of them, they have no right to do that. That's against universal law. So that shows you who they work with. Supply and demand. There you go. We're on the 30-year plan. Yeah, I could see that. That would make more sense. Bringing it in slowly, because part of lack of education and isolating the children away from their friends, that is conditioning them for communism. That's really a communist kind of conditioning. So that's what we're headed to. And that's what the demos want. The demos want communism. I mean, they won't say it, but that's kind of what they're backing by their actions. They will kill everything. No, they're not going to kill all the slaves. No, they're going to need people to do the work. And what did I say about Isabella, about the bankers? They ain't never toiled the soil. That ain't their thing. So them people ain't going to toil the soil. If they can't be into jewelry, they can't, clothing, if they can't do banking, they're not going to do the hard labor work. So they're going to always need a slave force. That's why that shit with Moses is so ridiculous. They was never the slaves like that. That ain't their way. They will kill. So I don't know. They're not gonna kill all the people they want to work that they need to do the work. Wow, the light really changes. So yeah, that's one thing they're not gonna do. They're not gonna kill all the slaves. I don't see them doing that. So, you think some of those slavery are higher than they actually were? Homie, you think some of those slavery and Holocaust deaths are higher? Nah. The Holocaust was way less. There wasn't, I talk about this often, and it was a paper I had a reproduction from. It was right after the war, and in Germany, again, Germany. Well, let's look this up. I can get this out. What was the German population during World War II? Okay, check this out. And if you include Australia, Sudan lands, Mem lands, which I think is the Rhineland, and Poland, it was 86 million people. And if you looked at the Jewish faith people, so okay, the general population of Germany was 70 million people. All right, 1%, 1%, 1% was Jewish faith in Germany. So if in all those countries, you had 1%. What is 1% of 70 million? So 700,000 people. 700,000 people. That's it. 700,000 people. Now, say we take that 1% on to those other countries I mentioned of 86 million, and say we get a million. That's a long way from 6 million. That's why now they say 3 million. But I read a paper that the numbers, again, were nowhere near that. And remember, the Nazis worked with the Jewish faith people to send people. They sent, in 1922, they sent something like 20,000 people to Israel. 20,000. So they were sending people to Israel already. They were working with the Germans. They were working with the Nazis. So I don't want to tell you that, but it's out there. They was working with them. So yeah, they're lower. They were lower. Yeah, that's what I meant. They were much less. Yeah, they were way less. Yeah, homie, way less. If they robotic farming and construction, they could wipe out all but 10 to 15%. But the problem would be is you're going to need maintenance. You're going to need maintenance on those. You're going to have people to rebuild the robots, to rebuild the supplier parts. You're going to have a population for that, and you're going to have a population to feed those people, and you're going to have to maintenance to work on the robots that yeah, you're gonna have to have maintenance on people, and you're gonna have to house those people. So I don't know. That's interesting, Crazy Sarge. I mean, that kind of goes with what the Georgia Guidestones have, and if that's what would be left as people that supplied working on the robots. But yeah, could be. That's the Georgia Guidestones say. And the truth is, we have enough resources for everybody, but the greed, there's enough land. And I know people don't like to hear this, but really adults, and this is a form of communism, I guess, in a way, but there's enough money in the world to house everybody, to guarantee everybody a job they like, to give everybody a good home. There's more than enough food out there. And so it's all a lie about the scarcity. They try to lie about oil. The oil is probably the lifeblood of the planet. Probably the blood of the planet is oil. So it'll never run out. They know that, but they want to tell you that shit will run out. It should have never run out. But there's enough natural resources for all the people on earth to have homes, good homes and food. But they keep people poor. They keep people struggling because as the new hex word is 1%, like they're talking about raising the rate to 43% on these motherfuckers. And they said only 3% would be affected. Well, that 3% control everything. So do you think they want to see their shit go from, 28, 30 something percent to 43%? Do you think they want to see that shit? No, they don't. And I've said this before. The way companies moved out of America, Reagan, that was the thing. Outsourcing became a buzzword. Motherfuckers didn't realize outsourcing is outsourcing your goddamn job. So it should have been people been against that. But when companies leave, you tax the fuck out of them. When they try to sell goods back to America, you put tariffs on their ass and you tax the fuck out of them so they don't leave. So I heard Bert give everybody I heard Bill Gates can give everybody in the world. Yeah, he could. Our new Amazon building has 30 million square feet of robotic warehouse and 85,000 square feet of people running forklifts. Interesting. We have a big one here too. I don't know how big it is, but we have a big one here. Very similar. Very similar. One girl, they had her on a commercial. She's like checking temperatures every day. I wonder what she's gonna do. But everybody I talked to, because here what they did is they hired a lot of Africans out there, and the Africans tried to put a union. And I think it's unionized here. I think the one here is unionized. Oh, my butt is starting to get sore from sitting. But yeah, I feel you. And they got them conveyor belts running everywhere. But I've talked to people, and they make them people zip around. They want to write you up when you don't work extra fast. And there's people that can do that shit. Like my man Pomo said, Pomatic. Like what he said is, you can look, a person can be so efficient with a machine where you can't see where the man stops and the machine begins, because the person, the machine looks like the way a person could work and make a machine work, doing production. You can't tell from one for the other. But that doesn't surprise me. Robot warehouse. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. But still, it's going to be people need to make robots, supplier parts, people work on them. So, and that could be 10 to 15%. Yep. And that is kind of go with the Georgia Guidestones. But again, when rich people look at that shit, they look at them as they don't need as many slaves. They don't need as many slaves as they used to. And they want the hockey puck impossible meat. The impossible burgers. What did they say in the one movie? Don't eat that shit. Solid green is people. You eating people. Remember when motherfuckers was on the train, they was eating fucking roaches and shit. Remember that? They was feeding the people in the rear roaches. They was giving them, they had roaches and they was mushing them into protein bars. Even in the new one, they give them like a little floppy piece of Jello. Oh, here's a funny one for you. So my mother asked me to pick her up some Jello, and so I give her a box of Jello, and she called me. She was like, "What's up with the box of Jello?" I said, "You told me to pick up Jello." She said, "No, I wanted you to pick up the already made Jello." And I'm like, "Where do they sell already made Jello?" She's like, "Well, next to the pudding." I said, "Oh, you wanted pudding, Jello pudding. You didn't want the box of Jello. You wanted the cups of Jello." Like, oh, when I saw Jello, I thought the box of Jello. I thought you was gonna make some Jello. You just need ice cubes, and you can make it. She's like, "No, you can already get Jello made." I was like, "Oh, you should have told me the Jello cups." Okay. Jello pudding. You wanted the pudding Jello. I didn't get that. A little slow there. I saw a box of Jello. I didn't know to already slurp up the things of Jello. So I thought that was kind of funny. She asked my brother the same thing. She's like, "Well, if I sent you to the store to get a box of Jello, what would you get me?" My brother said the same thing, the little box. She's like, "You wouldn't get me the Jello pudding?" It's like, "Yeah, if you said Jello pudding." I love Jello shots. She didn't want it for that, but and I had the Jello shot story. So my ex-wife 2 years ago thought it would be cute to take my two younger sons, and at the time one was 16, one was 18. And she thought it was a good idea to take them to this Super Bowl party. And they had Jello shots. Now, my youngest son, again, we can't watch everybody. There's a bunch of people in this place. And before I know it, he done slurped up 3 Jello shots, not knowing the shit'll get you drunk as fuck. And before you know it, he's drunk. And all these older people think the shit's cute. My 2 boys got to fighting, and yeah. But it's like he had never experienced it. He didn't know that drinking, that Jello shots will get you drunk if you slurp down too many. Jello brand makes them both. Yeah, I old man out. She should have said pudding. If you should have said Jello pudding, I was like, oh, okay, you want the Jello cups. When you just say Jello, I thought you were talking about the box, because she used to make it like that. You put the ice cubes in the shit, and you make it. Okay. I actually don't have anything to do tomorrow, but wake up and what I did today, get funky blind all day. But yeah, so she got me on that one. I was like, well, I'll run you some Jello if you need some Jello, dear. And I tell you, everybody's got their stimulus. I still didn't get my stimulus check, which is okay. I understand this system. But if they do, I'm going to see over said, I think I'm gonna take his advice and use it to get me a desktop computer system and get some cameras and upgrade. So whenever they drop it, or if they don't, if they do, whatever, that's what I'm going to do with it if it ever comes. Woman called me today, like, "Can you loan me some money?" I'm like, "You already got your stimulus. What you talking about? Loan you some money. Didn't you get the shit?" "Well, I got it, but I spent it on this and that." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Seeing a lot of new purses in the neighborhood too. So I can see some of the ladies must have spent their shit on purses. Nachos are better friends at a Super Bowl party than Kelly shots. Yeah, Edward. Because we had just food, but it was like food and just the Jello shots was out, so anybody could just slurp them up. And it was like a double whammy, because I think my son was 18 at the time. He had broke up with his girlfriend, so his heart's broken, and he's not, So they got to fighting because my younger son he's a loving drunk. He's not really an evil drunk like his mother. He's a loving kind of drunk, and he's like, "Oh, you're my brother," and he blasted him. And he closed this shit up, and they got to fight, and it's like definitely ice. We had an ice storm, so we ended up having to leave the Super Bowl early, and I had to walk a block on ice. But again, I'm like scooting my foot like skating. I had it with my crock pot and shit, and I'm trying to scoot, and this shit's still hot, meatballs or whatever the fuck I had in there. So we had all the food, but I mean, it's like ruined a good night. But it was her stupid ass idea to take them boys. I mean, it just wasn't any place for teenage boys. It just wasn't. And, you got dudes in their 20s think it's cute to let guys drink because they look at it like, well, when I was that age, my older friends, cousins, whatever, would let me drink. So it's cute to let these minors drink, Broadcasting live from the Chocolate Mountain, coming soon. There you go. There you go. There you go. That is me. I'm doing it on the Chocolate Mountain. Get some animation with somebody where I could put some rockets on the Chocolate Mountain, have that shit started, have like, what I could do is get somebody some animation at the beginning of my show. And you remember how the old Soul Train be the train dancing and shit? Well, we could have a mountain with some rockets and shit on it. And the rockets, the mountain could be like dancing and shit coming across the screen to start my shows. Have some animation of me on there. I'd be sitting on the Chocolate Mountain with some rockets and shit, There you go, Barbara, on the Galactic Patio. Oh, but I am going to do a giveaway. I got to get that together. I do want to send this stuff out because I got a lot of calcite, and I don't have. Let's see, calcite is very protective, and it's marble. Like for those of you that have marble, and it's just more than I can use. So I definitely want to send this stuff out, share it with people. Let me see if I can find it to show the possibilities of calcite. Because calcite is basically, if you're looking at marble, you're looking at calcite. Let me see if the particular kind is in here. One of the most protective calcites is, no, they don't have the kind in here, but it's technically, let's see what he says about it. I don't really have that type of calcite in here. Yeah, it doesn't really have that particular kind. Let me see what her book says. On 70. Let's see. So it says the mineral releases electrical impulses when placed under pressure. It is an energy amplifier. It is useful in multi-directional energy distribution. It appears that the energy which is directed inward towards the central forces of the mineral separate and returns in double of intensity. So it's good for manifesting. It brings forth a polarizing prismatic energy which engenders a spectrum of energy to clear and activate all the chakras. It is a world teacher for all humanities. Excellent stone when studying the arts and science. I want to send. I have some calcite that I can send out. She kind of separates them, but a good protective stone, blue. Like I have in my doorway, I have blue calcite, and I think my spur is here. And I've showed this several times. My Iceland spur. Yeah, you can kind of see if they practicing magic in places. That's what I learned from this, to see if it's places got hex on it or protection. I learned that from the magicians. They're using that kind of stuff. So, Jeffrey, my man, what's happening? So, in Mortal Kombat, a fighter is named Reptile, and he's supposed to be a ninja, just like the Scorpion, Sub-Zero, and they were in the movie. Reptile was a 10-foot reptilian in the movie. Yeah. Sign me up for a piece. I'm emailing you my address. Outstanding. Yeah, make sure you do. And I'm giving this stuff away because I have more than what I could do with. And so, because the people at the liquor store, these little kits came in the bag, like little bags that I carry my crystal. They're worth $1, and they were selling this stuff for $0.25. So when they get them in, they give them to me. They're like, now they just give them to me. It's like, here you go. Like glasses, half the glasses I got, they were just giving. I got a nice Hennessy stir that they just gave me. I just like, how much for that? Because they don't sell the Christmas kits. They break them up and keep the glasses. So yeah, I finally saw the movie. It was okay. I'm not gonna watch it again. The beginning scene was good. I mean, some of the shit was good. Maybe watch it one more time, but it wasn't. I like King Kong better. But yeah, I will definitely get that out. I'll get that out. And I got a bunch of it. So let me know. Send me but yeah, I'm gonna give that giveaway for sure. Well, guys, I think I'm gonna go. I'm going on 2 hours and 20 minutes. And old pimp ain't that exciting, interesting. It's funny. I'll say this about everybody watching. People don't hit me with messages anymore when I read my cards because I was hearing that stuff. I was kind of open. Like when I'm reading the divination, I can kind of get the thoughts a little bit. And I guess people, since I kind of responded, I noticed people quit asking me questions when I'm reading. So I didn't want to scare y'all off of not hitting me with questions. Because I said before, I'm kind of open when you do that. So I don't mind the questions in. But I'm gonna do a short show too on again. I'm gonna go over what everybody magical powers possibilities are. I'll bring that book out because we should be everybody. We're all magical. We're magical beings. I mean, there's no way to get around it. And so we all should see what kind of magical abilities we have and practice that daily when you manifest. Because if you know that you have a particular type of specialty or ability, when you manifest, that's when you use the ability. Superman just didn't manifest when he wanted to save shit. Remember, he found what is the servitude, the fortress of servitude with his abilities too. That heightened his abilities and gave him a sense of home. So that is really why you want to know what your abilities are, so you can manifest. So, so well, thank you, MJ, and let me know if you ever got something to say. You are always welcome. You're always welcome. And so, as you always know, I end with Eshan's poem. And again, I can't find the song. It is not on iTunes. I know it's under the Noxus, but I can't find the song anymore. Solitude. Yes, the Fortress of Solitude. Thank you, Jeffrey. I knew you would know. And so I'm not a New York rapper or a LA gangbanger. I'm just an old school Detroit crack slinger. This has been the Chocolate Mountain Show. Thank you, everyone. Again, thank you for the support last week. I was kind of down. And those of you that could read my energy and thought, and helped out, I appreciate it. I needed that little push. So thank you very much. Again, it took me over a year to get to 800 subscribers. I've only been going on this channel 4.5 months, and I'm already reached that. And without people, without support, I couldn't do it. Yeah, I caught that, Jeffrey. And so I thank you, because without interest in you people, well, you people, without interest in the people, without your support, my information is nowhere. It's just I have this information and I hold it. So I'm glad to be able to release some of this. And I have fun. I joke and stuff. I spoof, but you can tell the serious things I'm serious about, because I did the spoof about the YMCA and all that shit. I mean, you could tell I was just spoofing. That's all. I was just I wrote something up and wanted to see how it sounded live. So but serious things and serious magic, I'm serious about. But that's the thing, is you can't just be one way and revolution all the time. You just can't be just serious all the time, because laughter is what helps our just general mood of being able to laugh and be silly. And for you to just see a 60-year-old man to be silly sometimes is not bad for even you to see. And so, I'm just a very humble and meager person that's just trying my best. Well, thank you, Barbara. And so I just wanted to thank everyone. I want to thank everyone for just bringing this new channel this far. And I try to bring it every night. So thank you, everyone. I am 8-Wind Eagle. This is the Chocolate Mountain Show. I'll be back tomorrow. Till we meet again.